Everybody wants to know, are these guys clean? Have athletes been juicing and doping? Well, the proof is in the pudding.
I want to tell the truth.
That he did in fact use performance enhancers.
Today, you're going to learn about why guys take steroids. And there's this crazy story about a guy in a restaurant who I was playing with, my teammate. The topic of steroids came up and he literally ran out of the restaurant. I can't wait to tell you that story. Steroids, performance enhancing drugs, HGH. You know, the NFL has had this dark shadow over it for the longest time. And we ask, are guys really clean? Or is the NFL full of guys taking steroids? Today, I am going to expose it all. Now, I played against a lot of guys on steroids, trust me. Some that you wouldn't believe and some that you would never even know. But the question is, why am I doing this? Why expose this and risk myself? I will tell you exactly why. Because listen, I played 8 years in the NFL. Not only that, I was on the NFL Network. So I've been in meetings with billionaire owners. I've been in meetings with production studios that are some of the largest media companies in the world. I've been in NFL locker rooms and learned from Hall of Famers. And I've seen how they control you. Literally, the things that they do to control you are all about controlling your subconscious mind. They're programming you. It's not all about money, and it's not even about being evil, but it's about they understand how to control you because they know how to control your subconscious program. And it is my job to peer behind the curtain so I can unveil everything for you so that you can start controlling yourself. And listen, this is what companies, executives, entrepreneurs all around the world, they bring me to uncover and unlock their subconscious programs because I learned from the best how to do it. But first, let's get into this. And if you can see steroids right here, and the steroids are going directly into the brain because that's one of the biggest problems is not just the injectables in the body, but the injectables first in the mind that happened before these guys take steroids. So, there is actually one secret performance enhancer that a lot of NFL guys take that you would never know, or you kind of have to be on the inside, but I'm gonna tell you about that one in a little bit. But I remember there was this meeting and the NFL Players Association director came to the Detroit Lions facility. And this is what he said to us. He said, guys, they're about to start blood testing for you guys. And you could feel the pressure in the room build. And he said, because the only way that you can test for HGH is by blood testing. So he said, but don't worry, they're not going to start testing at the earliest next year, maybe 2 years out. You can kind of feel a sigh of relief. And this is what he said. I'll never forget this. He said, just remember that the NFL wants you guys as big and as strong as possible. So it's a media company. And just remember that. And that always stuck with me because then I started wondering, man, how many of these cats in here are on something? Now, if you think that I was on something, if you want to question myself, all you got to do is kind of look at my stats. Because if I was on something based upon these stats, then man, I put myself at risk for not much. But I've seen guys put themselves at risk. I've seen guys have heart attacks because of the stuff that they take. And I think that we just need to expose all of this. I'm serious. So let's get into it. And remember, please, if you hear something that is impactful to you, make sure you take a note and leave it in the comments. Man, have y'all heard this AI 50 Cent thing? Girl, it's easy to love me now. Man, you got to listen to that, man. It's the Motown version of the AI 50 Cent thing. Man, bro, the 21 questions, you got to listen to that. It's insane. Let me wipe my board down real quick. Okay, so before I get into exactly who is taking what, we got to get into the why behind it. Because again, there are guys who are on steroids, there are guys who are on HGH, but we got to understand why they are taking this. And I promise we'll get to all the physical issues first, but I got to go to the mindset. So, to me, there are three kings in pro sports. All right, the first king, I call them the three goats, is of course Jordan. To me, he is the GOAT of basketball, the NBA. The second king, to me, is Brady, Tom Brady, NFL. The third king, and we won't talk about him today, is El Mágico. After this video, look him up. But we won't talk about El Mágico today, Salvadorian footballer. We're only going to talk about Jordan and Brady. Now, what does Jordan and Brady have to do with steroids? Did they take it? Well, not that I know of, maybe. But here's the two things about Jordan. Now, if people talk about Jordan, their teammates, the one thing, man, that people say about Jordan is like he was a tyrant. He was a bully. He was hated by his teammates, like literally couldn't stand him. Let's talk about Tom Brady. Tom Brady, realistically, outside of New England, when he had his reign, everybody outside of New England hated Tom Brady because, well, they call him a cheater, Deflategate, all of the above. But here's the thing, and here's the most important thing, and here's why I don't have LBJ, all right, as my GOAT for all you LBJers. And it's not because he's not an excellent basketball player, but it's because of something that Jordan and Brady, they have actually accepted. See, everybody hated Jordan. Everybody outside of New England hated Brady. But the one thing that they have in common is they did not care. No care. And this is so important, and not just for NFL players or professional athletes, but literally for you, it's the ability to not care. Now, here's the thing. Why could they not care? And this is, again, important for your life as well. They didn't care because, listen, they had one of the highest degrees of self-love. Now, you're like, what does self-love and not caring have to do with steroids in the NFL? I promise we're going to get there. I'm going to tell you that story about how that guy ran out of the restaurant. Still crazy. But here's the thing. They had this element of self-love. Now, I want you to remember this, please. To the degree that you love yourself is the degree that you are willing to be hated by others. Yeah, oh yeah, that is a message. Please write that down. To the degree that you love yourself is the degree that you are willing to be hated by others. So when we talk about Tom Brady, when we talk about Michael Jordan, the only thing that they cared about was winning. That's it. So to them, that was a reflection of self-love. Is when they won, then they got to see a reflection of self-love in a championship. And the thing is, it's crazy about Jordan and Brady. You would never see them on a losing team. Like, it just wouldn't happen. Why? Because they have been programmed. Remember, I talk about subconscious programming. They have been programmed for self-love. And so when you love yourself correctly, when your subconscious mind has you locked in as a program for self-love, then everything that corresponds with self-love, like winning, automatically comes to you. And this is how the elites control you, y'all. I'm telling you, I've been in these meeting rooms and I've seen, like, I remember I was on the NFL Network and I've been in the production meetings and I saw like the commercials and how they're placed and all this and how they're, and like even the music behind them. And it is literally all about programming your subconscious mind so that you don't even have to think about what you do. And these people, these two guys, they are programmed for self-love. And so therefore winning is just part of who they are and what they are. And they're willing to be hated by other people because they have a high degree of self-love. And this is why I don't have LBJ up here, because of one thing. You remember that headband? See, that headband, he was so focused on what everybody thought about his hairline, and that, listen, he wanted everybody to love him or like him. This is why the difference between Jordan and the difference between LBJ is not so much talent. I'm not even saying that LBJ isn't a top 5 basketball player of all time. But one thing that LeBron James is not, and he is not a destroyer. He's not me either, but he's not a destroyer. Jordan was a destroyer. You knew that he would absolutely try to destroy you on that court because he could care less about you because he had a high ideal of self-love. So, but let's get out of here, man. Let's talk about this subconscious programming because, listen, my goal for you is to be able to change your life. That's it. I want you to be able to live the life of your dreams easier than you could ever imagine. And anything that I talk about is for that. And I don't want it to be just the elites and the media companies and all this stuff and even elite athletes. I want this to be for you. I want you to be able to live the life of your dreams easier than you could ever imagine by controlling your subconscious mind. But we got to talk about how to control this subconscious mind. Okay, so again, I'm just here to pull back the curtain that the elites have pulled on you. And I know that if you're any kind of a conspiracy theorist or heard about the Illuminati or anything, well, you understand there is one symbol that is pervasive, and I even have used it in the past. It is this symbol right here. You understand that, all right? What they call the triangle or the eye of Horus or anything like that. Well, let me tell you from an esoteric and actually from a psychological aspect of it, it's actually one of the most important programming mechanisms that you could ever have. And remember, my goal is to program your subconscious mind for success. That's all I do. That's what, again, entrepreneurs, businessmen, executives, professional athletes, they bring me all around the country, all around the world to program subconscious minds because of what I've learned. And this symbol right here actually means something very important. And if you've seen my 369 video of the other one, this will be somewhat of a review right here, but it's important. Okay, so how to program the subconscious mind, how to do that, because listen, that's all these people did for self-love, and therefore they got things that pertain to self-love for them. So let's talk about programming this wonderful subconscious mind that you have. Remember, it's all about the numbers 369. You have a spirit, or you are a spiritual being. All right, so remember that. You're a spiritual being. Or you have a body, and you have a mind. Please remember this, 369. So when Nikola Tesla said, if you understand the 369, you have a key to the universe, literally what he's talking about is understanding the spirit, the body, and the mind. Or I'll call this spiritual, I'll call this material, and we'll call this mental. So that's all you need to know about this. Now, to be able to program your subconscious mind is you have to understand how the mechanism of your body works. So, and I'll tell you, there's a mathematics, it's called vortex-based mathematics. And I want you to get this, and I promise we're gonna get to that story about steroids and about the guy running out of the restaurant. Just give me a minute, hold in there. Just sit back, open your mind, and get some brain real quick. Whoa. Okay, so anyway, so we got the 369. All right, so understand, remember I told you about this symbol, right? The triangle symbol. Well, this is the representation of it. I'm trying to get into this because I've studied this stuff and I've been in this stuff, so I know what they do to control you. So we have the 369. There is a thing called vortex-based mathematics. Again, so if you go 3, so let's talk about the 3, and this is the spirit. Remember, you live on 3 simultaneous planes of existence. You live in the spiritual, you live in the physical, and you live in the mental. So you live on 3 simultaneous planes of existence. So let's talk about the spiritual side of it, and we can access this by numbers. So what's 3 times 1? That's 3. What's 3 times 2? That's 6. What's 3 times 3? That's 9. What's 3 times 4? That's 12. And then 12 is 1 plus 2. That goes back to 3. What's 3 times 5? That's 15. 15 is 1 plus 6 equals 6. What's 3 times 6? 18. 1 plus 8 equals 9. So listen, if you understand the spiritual side of things, the spiritual aspect of life, it rotates or goes around the triangle counterclockwise. This is so important to know in terms of subconscious programming, is the spiritual aspect of life. It operates in the opposite direction of the physical aspect of life. We'll get to that. So spiritual is counterclockwise. All right, so I'll say opposite. I like my pink marker right here. All right. Physical, let's do the same thing, the same multiplication. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. What's 12 is 1 plus 2, that's just 3. 6 times 3 is 18. 18 is 1 plus 8, that's 9. 6 times 4 is what, 24. 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 times 5 is 30. 3 plus 0 is 3. So if you see the physical aspect of things, it operates, right, clockwise. Clockwise. Now, this is super important because, look, we know that three-dimensional reality is based upon three elements: time, space, and matter. Okay? So the physical aspect of things, it goes clockwise or in flow with physicality because it has to. So you see that this is counter. All right? So you see the spiritual aspect of things works counterclockwise. This physical aspect of things works clockwise. Now let's talk about the mental aspect of things. And I promise I'll blend all this together. So the mental aspect of things, what? So what's 9 times 1? 9. What's 9 times 2 is 18. 1 plus 8 equals 9. What's 9 times 3? 27. What's 2 plus 7 equals 9. What's 9 times 4? 36. What's 3 plus 6 equals 9. So listen to me. The mental always balances back to itself. And this is so important. This is what Tesla and all these people know. They talk about numerology and they talk about gematria, whatever that stuff is. Listen, if you understand the 369, you have a key to the universe because your 9, your mental side, your mind is responsible and is the only thing in all of creation that can operate in both the spiritual realm and the physical realm. That's it. It's the most wonderful piece of equipment that you would ever have. And if you understand how to control it and operate it, then you can access both sides and you can start winning like some of these Hall of Famers do, and also how they program you. All right. So how do these people, what do? How do you control this thing? How do you control your materiality? Because at the end of the day, that's all this is about. I don't care about anything else. I want you as a wonderful human species, as part of the tribe of being a human. All I want for you is to be able to live the life of your dreams easier than you could ever imagine. I'm serious. Oh, God. All right, so let's talk about subconscious programming. So there are ways to program the subconscious mind. There are 2 main ways to program the subconscious mind. And please, you have to be able to do this. The first way, I'm gonna use a different color. Let's use this purple one. All right. So way number 1 to program the subconscious mind is by repetition, is by reps. You gotta get your reps in. It's like anything. It's like playing a sport. It's like playing the piano or a new piece of music. The first time you play, you have no idea what you're doing. But if you do it and do it and do it over and over and over again, well, what happens is your subconscious mind gets programmed to be able to do the thing automatically. So there's a prime example of subconscious programming. And you remember this shot by Michael Jordan? Right? If you remember that shot when Jordan closed his eyes and shot the free throw, why was he able to do that? That was one of the biggest flexes in the history of basketball. But because he was already programmed, he already saw himself, right, making those free throws a million times, that therefore it happened automatically. So when you program yourself with a subconscious program, literally the results come automatically. Number 2, the second way to program your subconscious mind is through emotional triggers. Okay, and this is super important to know as well, because listen, when you get an emotional trigger, that right there, when it's a highly emotional trigger, I don't care if that was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago for some of you. When you think about that, you immediately get the same actions. Your body responds the same way as if it was happening right then. Some people can remember running from somebody maybe long ago, or if you ever ran from a dog and you start thinking about that, you can feel the same thing. Your heart will start beating. Why? Because that was an emotional trigger and that has programmed your subconscious mind. Now, why is that so important to be able to program your subconscious mind? Because remember I told you about Tom Brady and Michael Jordan, they are programmed with self-love. Wherever the subconscious mind has programmed you as, listen, this is the most important thing that I'll say this video. Wherever you are programmed by the subconscious mind, that's the results that you're going to get out of life. And it doesn't matter how much you want differently. It don't matter how hard you try. Yeah, you might have some spikes that come differently, but if you're programmed with self-hate, then you're going to get situations in your life that you absolutely hate. And you have to be able to reprogram yourself. So let me talk about this self-hate thing, because a lot of people unknowingly hate themselves. Like I said, I played 8 years in the NFL, but it seemed like I always came back to the same position that I hated. I hated being cut, because being cut feels like rejection. So I got cut 10 times over the course of my career. Now listen to this, it gets even deeper. I just remember being in relationships, even in high school, college, right? Like being the star football player, but yet still being treated like absolute trash by the opposite sex sometimes. Been cheated on. Been in situations where I've been talked to in a way that I would never, ever want anybody to talk to me. But I let some people talk to me like this. And the thing is, some of you out here do the same thing and you know better. You ever have a time, an experience where somebody, really degrades you in front of other people or does something that is super embarrassing to you? And instead of condemning the person that did the actions, instead of holding them responsible, what do we say? What do you say sometimes? Oh, they're just in their feelings. And you actually take responsibility for what somebody else did. You ever feel like that? I'm telling you, that's what I did. And listen, I hated myself every time I did that. Even though I knew better. And I would ask myself, why am I doing this? Why am I allowing this person to do this to me? Why can't I stand up for myself? I was in the NFL. I was a star college and high school football player. You would think that I had all the confidence in the world to be able to stand up for myself and not be treated in any type of way, but I couldn't help it. And you want to know why? It is because of these two things right here. My subconscious mind identified me with self. It's about time for this. I'm gonna go to with self hate. And this is why a lot of guys take steroids. And this is why a lot of guys cheat in the NFL. It's not because they love themselves and they want to be successful. It is literally because of self-hate. Now, how is that even possible? Well, let's go back in my own life, man. And I grew up the fat kid. Like I tell you, fattest kid school, county, maybe fattest kid in the state, fat kid back in Georgia. 3rd grade, 180 pounds of big backness, right? And so not only was I the fat kid, I was also the successful black kid in a white suburban town. Now, this is paramount. I'm sharing all my details with you. So you got to think, I'm the fat kid, and also my parents are pretty well off. My mom was a doctor, my dad is a businessman. All right, so we weren't loaded with everything, but man, we lived pretty good growing up. So now, I remember growing up. Do you know how traumatizing it was to be a successful black kid because I didn't go through the struggle and I talked different? I went to private school up until 3rd grade and I went to public school after 3rd grade. And I remember wanting to talk. Finally got the courage to ask out Missy. Oh, Missy was so fine. Fine chocolate thing. 6th grade. So big boy, fat kid. Talks to Missy and says, hey, Missy, never had a girlfriend before. Would you go out with me? All right, would you go with me? That's what it was. And this was her response. She said, now you only talk to white girls. And I was like, no, I'm trying to talk to you. She was like, no, you only talk to white girls. I know, you only hang around white people. So nah, I'm good. That crushed me. So then in 9th grade, so I never tried to talk to another girl until 9th grade. 9th grade, man, Lily. Oh, she was this redhead with long curly hair. Oh, she was gorgeous. And I got the courage, tried to talk to her. And this is what she said to me. She said, hey, Dre, I'm sorry, I don't date black boys. That crushed me. And I can still feel that till this day. It's an emotional trigger, like I talked about. And so I identified myself as the fat kid, as the kid that was too white for the black kids and too black for the white kids. But more importantly, I hated myself. And so since my subconscious mind, I'll call it the subconscious mind. Since my subconscious mind identified me with the program of self-hate, do you know, throughout my life, I always get situations that reflect that. And the subconscious mind is just doing its job. Every time I let somebody run over me and walk over me and talk about me in a certain type of way or a way that in a disrespectful way, and I'm like, oh my God, why didn't I say anything back? Well, the subconscious mind has identified me with self-hate, and then I say after those situations happen, I hated myself for it, and the subconscious mind says, we're just doing our job. And so that's why you will never see Tom Brady on a losing football team. Why? Because his subconscious mind has identified him with self-love. And what does a self-loving person love as much as anything? They love winning. And this is all I want for you. So to be able to program your subconscious mind, and I promise we're going to get into that story about the steroids, the guy running out the restaurant. It's a crazy story. But the reason why, and the reason how we program our subconscious mind is through repetition, right? Over and over again, I saw myself as the fat kid, and then those emotional triggers, man, they equaled self-hate. So when guys are cheating, realistically, they're willing to risk their lives to inject themselves, not because they love themselves, but because they hate themselves. And remember, I told you, the degree in which you love yourself, you'll be willing to be hated by others. But to the degree you hate yourself, you are going to want to be loved by others. These guys are not injecting themselves because they love themselves. It's because they hate themselves and they want the accolades to reflect. They don't want other people not to love them. They want everybody to love them. And if they make plays, then they'll be loved. But at the same time, that has a dire consequence. And I've seen my friends die because they have been taking this stuff. And so that's the result of why a lot of guys are taking steroids. So how do you then, and again, I told you, all I want for you, and if you heard something that you liked in this, please take notes, leave them in the comments. So how do you reprogram yourself for self-love or for whatever it is that you want? And I told you there's two ways to do it: through repetition and also through emotional triggers. But you have to understand that the subconscious mind is so wonderful. But you got to understand. So remember I told you, let's go back to our triangle. All right. This is the 3, 6, 9. All right, so this is spirit. This is body or physical, and this is mind. All right. You have to understand that your subconscious mind, so I'm going to draw this picture too. Give me 1 second. All right, so I'm going to draw a picture of, obviously you guys know that I'm one of the best artists in history. Okay, so relax. All right, I promise this is not what it's looking like right now. So this is, okay. So this is an airplane. Bam. All right, so that's an airplane. So I want you to see this. Your subconscious mind all right, so this is your subconscious, the body of the airplane. Your subconscious mind is actually responsible for 95 to 99% of everything that happens to you. It's what makes your heart beat. It's what makes your brainwave patterns, and it's what keeps you alive, when you're asleep. But also it's what gives you or attracts into life the things that you get. So 95 to 99% of everything that happens to you is because of your subconscious programming. But here's the thing. This is your conscious mind. I'm gonna call you CM right there. All right, I know this looks horrible, but your conscious mind is responsible for 1 to 5% of what happens to you. But your conscious mind is the decider. It's the thing that I use right now to decide to wave this pen up and down. That was a conscious choice. So what happens is your conscious mind is in the cockpit of the airplane. So when it's in the cockpit, all the controls are right up in here. But here's the engine back here. Here's the body of the airplane. Everything about the power of the airplane, for its ability to fly, is all because of what's back here in the subconscious, if you get that. So we have to use our conscious mind, which is in the cockpit, to influence our subconscious mind. And then our subconscious mind, what it does is it influences either the spiritual side of us or it influences either the material or the body side of us. And this is how we effectively change our lives. So how do you program the subconscious mind? I told you, it's either through repetition. So you do something over and over again and you build a belief and you build a subconscious program. Well, you can have a positive repetition or a negative repetition. And look, here's the beautiful thing about the subconscious mind is that it has no idea the difference between what's real and what's imaginary. And listen, you talk about the secret performance enhancer that most people don't know about. This literally is it right here. The ability to program your subconscious mind is for real, the secret programmer. And so this is all I want you to do is to be able to use your conscious mind to influence your subconscious mind. And then that subconscious mind will influence your spirit or influence your body and you start living automatically. See, life is easy once you understand the laws behind it. Life is easy once you understand how they program you. They program you because what they make you do over and over again, they give you a repetitive vision. All right, so reps or vision. So they put something in your face over and over and over again, and you can't help but make it influence your body. Okay, or you can do what I call an emotional trigger. In emotions. So all we have to do is we can use our mind and there's 3 ways and there's 3 keys, and these will be the last 3 performance enhancers that I'll give you, and I talk about these all the time. There are 3 keys to be able to influence the subconscious mind from a spiritual or from an invisible spectrum. So when I say spirit, please understand, I just mean invisible, invisibly good. That's what I mean. So I talk about this: meditation, affirmations, and visualization. Okay, these 3 things right here are how you use your conscious mind to influence your subconscious mind that can influence your spiritual side. So the spiritual, again, is just unseen. So every time I meditate just means to focus your thoughts. So every time I focus my thoughts on what's wrong, I'm doing a negative meditation. Every time I focus my thoughts on what's right, it's a positive meditation. Affirmations are only supposed to make something firm. So they're just spoken words, either spoken to or listened to over and over and over again that reinforce whatever meditation is going on or whatever focused thought that you're having. Remember, meditation doesn't mean sitting under a tree saying kumbaya. Meditation means to focus your thoughts on the thing that you desire. That's a positive meditation. And then we start speaking and hearing words. I tell you guys all the time, I always have headphones on. Why? Because I'm making my affirmations, or I'm using affirmations to make firm what I've been meditating on. And then the last one is visualization, which just means make a mental movie. Make a mental movie of what you've been meditating and affirming. Now, listen, I wanted to get you this. All of these things are actually things that you can do that they don't have to be factual. And this is some of the problem with a lot of you, and this is the problem with some of these guys that take steroids. They're looking for facts to be able to prove this. And I told you, the spiritual aspect of things works in opposition to the physical aspect of things. Yes, facts work in the material side of life. It is a fact that I'm writing on this board. It is a fact that I'm beautiful and have a beautiful beard. But when on the spiritual side of things, you don't have to have facts. So when I go every single day, I tell myself I look good, feel good, smell good. I have my extra $500,000 and I have 100,000 YouTube subscribers. Like literally, that's a thought, a meditation that I think at first. And then I start speaking that every single day. What I'm doing, I'm making that firm. And then I visualize that every single day. And again, the subconscious mind has no difference between what's real and what's imaginary. But you have to use your conscious mind to do these things like this takes conscious thought. And what this does is this influences and this programs your subconscious mind. And then your subconscious mind begins to program the spirit or program the body. So so this is the beautiful thing about it. So when you start doing these things, right, and you start programming either way, like for example, I am programmed to work out. I cannot help it. I always work out. I am always going to be this beautiful, sexy body that you see right here. Why? Because, listen, my subconscious mind has programmed me for such. But also, I'm programmed from a spiritual level as well, from things that you can't see. Remember, visualization is something that you can't see, and there's a whole nother video I'm gonna do about that. So visualization, I'm seeing something that you can't see that influences the spiritual side of me. And remember, the spirit gives birth to the physical aspect of things. So if I visualize myself with this 100,000 YouTube subscribers, if I visualize myself with this extra $500,000 and making $100,000 a month, like just because that's not factual, well, what happens is the spiritual side will either start moving my body to make that a reality, or will move other invisible entities that I don't even know about to be able to make that a reality. Either way, I don't care. And I'm not like, and this is the thing, I'm not one that's just going to sit around and not do anything and wait for things to happen. All I'm going to do is I'm going to do this and let this thing called my mind influence my spirit, and let this thing called my mind influence my body. And therefore, that is how you are able to program your life, to reprogram your life. And every time you do one of these, it is actually real. Please do not get it twisted. I want you to remember this and write this down. Just because it's imaginary does not mean it's not real. The subconscious mind accepts it as being real. And so whenever you see all these guys, Tom Brady put his head down, whenever you see Michael Jordan close his eyes to make the free throw, it was a visualization. In his mind, it was already done. So his body had to react accordingly. And this is what I want for you. And this is the real performance enhancing drugs. And this is why a lot of the guys that I played with and played against, not all of them, but some of them were on the sauce, were on the juice. Why? Because they didn't understand how to control all of this. So all they figured that they knew how to do was, let me do something to control this physical side of things. And let me put this physical side of things at risk, because here's the thing, man, you can work on this physical thing all day. You can take steroids, right? You can, as they say in the entrepreneurial circles, you can be on the grind and you can wake up at 5 a.m. and then go to sleep at 4:30 a.m. and you can do all that, but it has some side effects, and I've seen them. And so people who are only physically focused on the body aspect of things, man, it comes with some side effects. But when you're balanced from the 3, 6, and 9, oh my goodness, there's nothing that you can't accomplish. And this is what I want to get for you. And listen, if you're an entrepreneur, an executive, or a professional athlete, and you need some subconscious programming, if you want to 2 to 5x your revenue over the next 8 weeks, hey, come holler at me, because that's what I do. Like, people send me around the world to do this. So anyway, last thing. I don't even need to erase this. So we'll get into that story. Sorry, I had to give you some knowledge, man. So just open your mind up and get some brain real quick. I had to give you some knowledge about this. Because again, more than anything, my goal for you is to be able to change your life so that you can live the life of your dreams easier than you could ever imagine. And I don't know if you're on here, man, and you thought the guys were taking steroids and that's what you really cared about. I get it. But at the end of the day, how does somebody else taking steroids help your life? And so I feed this to you because I want you to take the steroids inside of your own mind, like I talked about earlier. And I want you to be able to create this life that is worth living. Aren't you tired of living beneath your means? Aren't you tired of living watching some other millionaire out there play on a Sunday while you sit at home struggling and hating for Mondays? I'm sitting here telling you, this is not life. I'm trying to show you how these people control you. And there's so many other ways that I'm gonna get into. I'm just peeling back the curtain. So let's talk about that story about this guy in the restaurant. I remember I was playing, man, this is up in Detroit. And we're at this fancy restaurant. I think it was Fleming's Prime Steakhouse. And so all the teammates were there, man. There's probably 20 of us. And then we started getting on the conversation of steroids. And literally, and this is the funny thing about you Caucasus people, of the Caucasian complexion. We're all one, but of the Caucasian complexion. When you get embarrassed or get mad, y'all can't hide y'all's face if y'all turn red. And it's so hilarious. It's one of the beautiful benefits of being a melanated male person. It's because I can hide my embarrassment. Y'all can't hide y'all's. So this dude, he jumps up. He picks up his phone. He says, hey, sweetie. Okay, hey, oh, you need me now? I'm on the way. He said, hey, guys, here's my credit card. I got to go. My wife just called me. He literally bolts out the door. We're like, what in the heck is going on? Is he all right? So we're calling him. He's not answering. We're calling him. He's not answering. So I was like, bro, what do you think happened? So my teammate said, bro, he came back 40 pounds heavier and with 7% less body fat in the last 4 months. He said, and we started talking about steroids. And all he said was, and all I said, I didn't get it at first, and all I said was, I see now. And these are the performance enhancers that I want you to take.